are live. Let's make sure everything is shared out properly. Let's go out here. See if it's working. Hopefully I shared the right link. There's probably like 30 or 40 seconds of lag, so get a drink, finish prepping stuff up. Hopefully it's working. Let's refresh. Nope. Not right. Go get them. Come on now, you can do it. I like this little Ecamm Live software, but like sometimes it's a little bit confusing on like where I'm actually broadcasting to. I don't think the lag would be that long. Let's see what it says. Supposedly I have people viewing. Can people hear me okay? Oh, seems like people are there. Maybe the YouTube window is just a little lagged. A lot lagged. Okay, well, people are joining. It looks like, let me just message on Twittersville. Because it says 9 waiting. Live stream offline. For the people that are here, did you get here from the Twitter link? I'm curious because this page like isn't showing my video yet. And it says like 10 people waiting. So it just makes me concerned there's somehow 2 different places. Let's go to this and see what happens. Because it says 9 yeah, see, this has it. Live stream offline. Yeah, that's different. For the people that are here, did you get here from the Twitter link? Well, I'll tell you what, I'm curious because we're going to just do this. We'll say something like, and, whoops, and, oh my gosh, what's going on here? And we're live. There we go. Yay. Okay, whatever, we'll figure it out. I got a notification from YouTube. Okay, fair enough. That sucks. Yeah, I always try to share these out early, and I swear, I feel like it just never works out for me. Like, I take this share link that's supposed to be like the shareable link from the YouTube studio, and then I put it here, and then when I go to Ecamm Live, apparently it starts like a new day, or I don't know, maybe because it's yesterday, it rotates every day. I have no idea. I just wish it was a little more seamless. Anyway, people are figuring it out. We got a few people here. So, cool. All right, let's do this. Let's repost this, and it seems like it's all good. So I've got a link there, and that should hopefully be enough. Yeah, there we go. Okay, fair enough. All right, let's go talk about Blueprint. And to that point, we'll actually go back to Twitter. Yeah, so earlier this week, I got this awesome tweet sent out from Laracast from a video I made about Blueprint a few weeks ago. If you haven't seen it already, definitely go check it out. It's part of the guest spotlight. There's a lot of good videos in there. I've actually been watching most of them myself, but check it out. Check out Blueprint if you're not familiar. So what I want to do today is really just motivation to kind of get caught up. After the release of this video, I got like tons of pull requests and issues and questions, and on top of running shift and doing some client work and coaching and pairing and all the things I do during the week, it's actually gotten a little behind on it. So I just wanted to use this as an excuse to, like I said, kind of be social by doing a live stream, chatting on the chat. To that point, feel free to send anything across as you have it. I'll check it every now and then. And yeah, just kind of work through some of these issues. I got a few in here that I left, maybe merge some things. And if I get to it, I might take the opportunity to refactor some stuff. So let's see here. Let me bring up the chat window. There it is. Cool. Okay, so let's see here. Good morning. Good morning. Yes, hello, everybody. Yeah. Linus was complaining. What? It's not clear at all. Oh, yeah, the notification. I gotcha. Yeah, sorry about that. Those links always change kind of like on me. I never seem to be able to get it right. Anyway, let me close all this eCam stuff down so I can see my screen a little bit better. All right, cool. Okay, so this is Blueprint, and what I want to do is probably go through some issues first and just tackle some of the things that are out there. So just kind of learning as we go, kind of an open source maintainer. Looks like there's a question here. Was wondering why the required rule is returned by default. Probably only use it for form request creation, which always needs a required for every column. Was just wondering if there's any chance the behavior in the Nova add-on I have explicitly check for nullable modifiers and remove the required rules. I don't really know here. Yes, Blueprint will automatically mark a field required by default. So this has to deal with form validation. And let me just bring up an example here so it's a little easier to talk about. Here. So Blueprint has a validate command or statement or action. Sometimes those words are a little confusing. So a lot of the times I call it a statement. In the code, it's called a statement. So there's all sorts of statements. There's a save statement, a send statement, and a validate statement. So the question here is about this rules bit. It always uses required by default. So the question's kind of unclear because they're kind of making more of a statement. So I'm not too sure what they're doing with this Nova add-on. Sounds awesome though, like I talk about in the video on Laircasts. I really tried to build Blueprint to be extendable so other people could make other kind of generators and lexers, one of which, the most common one being asked for currently, is Nova. So it's cool to see that somebody's potentially working on that. But to answer the question, yes, Blueprint will automatically mark a field required by default. Let's see, you are welcome to change this in your own generator if you wish. There we go. Good enough. Cool. Okay, so I don't think there was anything to really do there and take action. Oh, this was one that came in overnight. So some people are saying they don't really like request all. They talk about it being risky. I think Mohammed recently
When
did a
submitting
video,
your form
or
with
no, this
post
is
data,
actually
do you use request all? As I
someone else. So anyway, they linked to another video, but the point is, I saw Laircast doing a tweet earlier in the week about fillable versus guarded. You know, the kind of back and forth there. People talking about mass assignment. I know, like I said, Mohammed shared something on YouTube, or not YouTube. Well, he recorded it on YouTube, shared it on Twitter, and Reddit. I saw it earlier in the week. So it just seems like there's actually a lot of buzz recently about fillable and guarded and mass assignment and all that stuff. So first, taking a step back from that, I personally believe that the fillable and guarded and all that stuff is I don't want to go so far as to say broken, but you're definitely left wanting. There's a bit of confusion around there, and I wrote recently about streamlining Laravel after Laracon EU, and I kind of had these thoughts going around, and I talked with Frake and Marcel and other people at Laracon AU last October about this. And one of the first things I talk about 5 things in this article, but kind of one of the first things I talk about is mass assignment. So it's kind of it's really the only lacking feature I think Laravel has. Of course, I can't think of the features that don't exist yet. Laravel's always adding cool new features, but the point is that I definitely think mass assignment is something that probably needs to be revisited because you really have 2 camps of people or developers. You have the camp where people use fillable to the point of the poll from Laracast, and then people that just say guarded is an empty array and they don't pay attention to any of this at all. So, and I don't think either of those solutions are correct because the fillable thing doesn't really have application all the time. Like what might be fillable for one controller action maybe shouldn't be fillable within the context of another controller action. So I think that this needs revisiting. And one of the things I suggested was kind of taking a look at Rails use of strong parameters. They used to do mass assignment. They got rid of this and went with strong parameters, which have their own drawbacks from when I used them, and wrote Rails more a couple years ago. But long story short here, I definitely think that this doesn't always do maybe what developers, especially beginners to Laravel, maybe think it does. Maybe they think they're getting some protection when they're not, and vice versa. So, coming back to the post at hand here, or the issue at hand, is that basically this user is basically saying, hey, look, Blueprint's got kind of an issue here because it's using request all, and they'd rather use validated or something else. Now, while I completely agree, in the wild, you should use something like validated and assume that the data has been validated in a certain way, and that's your limiter, and that gives you that extra little bit of security above and beyond mass assignment. Absolutely. So I absolutely agree that you should use that. There's two things specific to this. One, Blueprint cannot make the assumption that you have validated items. So maybe if you, going back to this Blueprint bit, maybe here, let's say I do some kind of save command up here, or save statement. I don't know that necessarily you validated something, so as such, the request validated would not be available, or maybe not be set up the way you think, which is why the default is to use request all. In addition to that, to the point of kind of the second answer, Blueprint does define your fillable by default. It doesn't do the guarded nothing, no guarded kind of control. It attempts to honor mass assignment through fillable, although it makes pretty much all your properties fillable. So again, there are commonalities and conventions that Blueprint follows here, which make this less secure than using something as this Tim will say suggests of using the validated. But, and the final point, I don't necessarily think this is insecure in any kind of way. I don't think it's any less secure than what the framework offers you. So I don't necessarily agree with kind of that sentiment. And the final point, the second and final point I want to make on this, and then we'll move on, is I just think that people need to remember that Blueprint is a tool, just like Laravel is a tool. And the way in which you use it and write it is kind of up to you, okay? Especially with something like Blueprint. Blueprint is meant to give you even more rapid code generation and development than Laravel does out of the box, which is already pretty rapid, but it's to help you kind of get a jump start on that. It's never going to aim at 100% perfect, secure, ready to run in production code, right? It's a tool that helps you generate code rapidly. It is not a tool that necessarily builds your entire application for you exactly the way it should be. So with that said, as a developer, you should look at this and say, you know what, I want to use all here, or I want to use only and fill in the specific fields, much, much better. I want to use validated and fill in the specific fields, even better than that. And again, who knows what the future holds, maybe in Laravel 8 with a revisiting of strong parameter types or something like that. So with all that said, I don't necessarily think Blueprint's insecure. I'm going to close this issue and or rephrase it in the sense that if we know that you have a validated statement, for example, maybe just tweak it just a bit. So this save, for example, maybe would be smart enough to use validated because, again, by the conventions of Blueprint, by the conventions of Laravel, we would know at that point reliably that you have validated data instead of saying simply request all. So I do agree that there is an opportunity here, but I kind of don't like this kind of closing statement here of it, being insecure code somehow. That's not really a Blueprint or even a Laravel thing, to be fair. So I heard a lot of comments come across. So let me jump back to the comments here and see what's being said. Okay, let's see here. Would it be better to change the title? Oh, okay. So no, cool. No comments on all that tirade on on that. So it's good. Oh, hey, Troy. What's up, man? How you doing? Long time. Troy and I used to work at Indatus way back in the day, which is actually where I first started writing Laravel, believe it or not. So that's pretty cool. It's cool to see Troy on here. All right, cool. So, anyways, let me make all that kind of in a tight little comment here. So, Blueprint aims to follow Laravel conventions, and as such uses fillable and uses fillable by default. How about that? However, I do agree that the mass assignment and has some lacking and confusing features, or is a lacking. And let me just link to this post, and then we'll call this done. Okay, cool. That mass assignment is a lacking and confusing, or let's just say can be. How about that? Can be. I don't want to be too harsh because, again, I like Laravel at times. I'm going to revisit this and attempt to use request, and maybe we'll work on this here in a minute, request validated when there is a known use of a validate statement combined with a save statement followed. That should be a happy medium. Cool. Okay, so yeah, Blueprint, definitely just want to make that point that, Blueprint's all about conventions. And then, yeah, final thing, of course, please remember, the whole point about Blueprint is a tool, and to help you rapidly generate code. This is not necessarily considered production ready. You should always review the generated. Nice little lame-ass disclaimer here. But I mean, I hate that you have to say this, but you just do. Your own optimizations and improvements. There we go. Okay, I'm not going to close this. I'm just going to kind of I wonder if I can. Yeah, I can. How about this? Use of request validated when validate when saving with a validated validated data. All right, we spent enough time here. Sorry about that. This was an important one though. I think there was a good side chit chat there. Okay, so I'm not going to call this a bug, but I definitely want to say it's an enhancement. And I'm going to go ahead and mark it in progress because we might come back to it. Okay, let's keep going. What do we have here? Any other chit-chatters out there? All good. Okay, cool. Erase command. Okay, so definitely documentation. Okay, this is a huge one. I'm not going to go into this one, but yes, I kind of told myself that when it hits 1,000 stars, I'm going to spend the time to do a nice documentation for Blueprint. Currently, it's kind of all in the README, which of course is not as great of documentation as we're used to in, again, the wonderful Laravel community with rich, awesome, read documentation. We'll work on that. Again, I do a metric kind of way. It's just an MVP approach. So kind of when I hit 1,000 stars, I would make kind of site for Blueprint. Those videos I'm sharing on Twitter. And a little bug here. This was me's internet speed test. I thought Google just had one. Let's check. That is not what I should be getting, but it's definitely not slow by any means. Yeah, I mean, I'm getting 80 up. I mean, again, I normally get better than this, but because I'm gigabit, but like still 100 and 100 should be pretty strong. I don't think this is me unless I just had a temporary glitch. It's either something in between or something. Do I have other crazy things running in the background? Nope. You're back. Okay. Okay. I don't know where it lagged out. Either my internet temporarily dropped out or what. But I mean, even though this isn't awesome, I'm getting at least 100 up and down. Again, I should get a lot more than that, but I tell you what. Give me just a second. Let me just hardline in because I'm over Wi-Fi, and that should definitely. Well, I worry that'll drop the call. You know what? We're just gonna power through. So we're gonna power through. Sorry about that. Okay. All right. So let's keep reviewing this. Okay. So what they've done is they set fake nullables to false, and they stub this out. It looks like everything's passing. Cool. And that's just a little bit of update there. And then here, they do it all. Okay, cool. Fake nullables, nice. So I see a good test here. Nice cleanup. They did a nice little filtering of those fillable columns. Everything here looks pretty strong. I think the only thing I wanted to change, not sure when I started lagging, but just to repeat myself, the only thing I might want to change is even though we know that this is true by default, part of me wants to add the little comma true there, but you know what? I don't want to muddle up their thing. It all looks good. Although the build's failing. Why is the build failing? Ooh, that's not nice. What is going on here? Whoa. I wonder if you can run a build again. How do we do this? How do we run? Does anybody know how to run the build again when you're using GitHub Actions? I don't know how to run the build again. Are people still having issues with the pixelation and so forth? Yes, no? Is anybody still there? I'm tempted to hardline in straight into my little router instead of using Wi-Fi, see if it helps beef it up or not. If anybody's still there, let me know. Let me know if you're still getting like audio. Your stream is strong. Hey, Frake, what's up? In the build itself. Oh, okay. Oops. In the build itself, we should be able to go rerun jobs. Nice. Let's see if this passes again. Thanks, Frake. How are we doing on the stream? All fine. It's cleared up. Yeah, I tell you all, I don't know. I don't think it's me. I mean, I don't hear I'm on the iMac. It's running fine. Again, the internet speed test. I mean, it's definitely not awesome, but I've streamed it worse. Anyway, whatevs. Delay is huge. Yeah. Yeah, the delay was huge when I started, actually, in fairness. I remember seeing that lag as well. I tell you what, while these are running, I'm gonna plug in and we'll see if that helps. 1 sec. Resume. Hello, hello? Is anybody still here? Okay, that's much better, all the way plugged in. So, Ecamm Live gave me an opportunity to resume on YouTube, so hopefully everybody sees it. But yeah, we are like 5x the speed now. So if it's still pixelated, it's YouTube, not me. So let me just run this again. Yeah, I mean it's definitely slower, even still hardwired. Normally hardwired I get like 800 because I have gigabit, but I mean this is, you know, what, 7 times what we were a minute ago. So hopefully that resolves it. If it's still pixelated, it is not me. Okay. All right, let's keep going. Hopefully that helps though. Okay. Anyway, this is still rerunning for some reason. Come on, it couldn't take that long. Let's refresh. I think it just lagged out. Okay, the test suites are broken. Why are you still broken? All right, how about this? Let's do this. You know what? GitHub makes it like this is kind of my last like annoyance with GitHub is like I really wish that, or what is this? Use validated form request. Ooh, looks like somebody already added that. Wow. I really wish that you could edit this PR better, right? Like I know you can pull it down and everything, and they give you little tooltips for doing that, like here, but I can't push my changes back up to like their branch and have it refresh this pull request. I normally end up having to like make my own pull request and close theirs. And I know like GitHub has some new fancy command line thing you can do now, but like I don't think it still works. So anyway, let's see here. So if anybody knows better, let me know. While I take a drink of my coffee that I rushed to make and is still in the little spittoon. I didn't even, okay, yes you can. Of course Frake knows. Tell me, Frake. How do I do it? I know I can check this out, but can I push back to this specific pull request? I know you can if like the contributor, yeah, exactly. The contributor has to enable it, and I don't think many of them see that little bit. Like as the owner, I should really be able to just push. You know what I mean? So, and go to one of the files. Yeah, I know. You can go and edit each one, but because of the failing tests, like, yeah, I know I could go over here and like, yeah, edit it in line. So which would be fine like on here if I wanted to just add this comment, like add this little comment header for this guy. Totally. I'm totally with you. And I remember asking Taylor about that and he was saying like that's what he does most of the time when he edits. But there really should be like if I want to fix these failing tests, I need to kind of work with the code and doing those like 3 little dots is not going to be sufficient. So anyway, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna do it the super fast way. I'm gonna squash merge this, and we're just gonna add the crap ourselves. So this is probably not what you want to do if you have a super fancy, heavily used. People are pointing straight at dev master open source approach, but that's what we're gonna do. So git pull. Let's get into the code here. Let's do these two things, and then I'll call it what I need to do. So, okay, so let's do vendor bin PHP unit. And there are those errors. So let's see what's going on here. Let's go into the old PHP Stormsville and let's see what's happening. So what is our first failure? Our first failure is output writes migration from model tree with data. And so it's expecting something. So let's see what it is versus what we got. So this is database factories, and it should get factories post PHP. So let's just look at what factory post PHP. So it seems like there's an issue here. Okay. So, you know what it is? It's exactly what I was worried about. Remember that readability thing that I mentioned in the factory generator? It's actually a little got you. I don't think that TestBench preloads the config files the way I'm running these tests. So let's just prove this real quick. Let me throw in this true here by default, and let's see what happens. Boom. That's exactly what it is. Gosh, I am like the code whisperer. I tell you, debugging has always been my strong suit for some reason. I don't know why. I'm gonna toot my own horn for a minute, but I've just always been able to debug stuff pretty efficiently. So anyway, that was I didn't know what that was. I swear I was messing with internet connections. So that's pretty sweet. Let's see how we're fixing that somewhere else though, because I don't really like that patch. Um, I don't like that patch there. And plus, I want to see other places where I'm setting up like app. I think I do something like app config with testbench. Oh my gosh, pressing so many buttons. Like I said, didn't finish my coffee yet. Okay, we set it to false in the nullables, which makes sense. We want to explicitly set it there. What I don't understand though is that some of these other places, when I'm not hard setting it, why are these working and that's not? Let's just find out. Let's just audit the code real fast. Yeah, see these other places I don't default namespace and it seems to be working correctly. Why is it not working correctly here? Did I name it wrong? Config. Maybe it's named wrong. Oh, I kind of hate that this little fake nullables. No, that seems right. Blueprint fake nullables. Let's just do this. Let's dump. I mean, that's definitely what it was, clearly. But it's interesting to me that I don't have to specify that anywhere else, but I have to specify it here. So we found the problem, but now it's kind of like, why is that a problem? Let's go back to our factory generator test. And, ooh, just as a side note, I've been doing the C here because it helps me like click through to that. But somebody turned me on to another one the other day. There's actually a covers, which is much more appropriate for what we're talking about. However, I've yet to check to see if covers actually implies anything from a code coverage report or whatever, or has any other implications. But that's probably the more accurate, or definitely the more accurate if it's what we want PHP doc to use there to reference like, hey, what this thing is testing. I just kind of had the C for being helpful as a reference, but covers is kind of my new jam. So I need to check on that, and then I'll probably tweet that out as a little hot tip here in a bit. So what I want to do is find this, and let's just copy this relative path, and that way we can just see this dump. Yeah, see, it's null. Let's just test one more thing real quick. Let me bring up the factory generator, and maybe there's something fancy about the other ones. Maybe I'm loading up Blueprint. I think that's what it is. I think I'm actually loading up Blueprint in the other tests, whereas the factory generator, I think I'm just calling it directly with model data. That's probably what the issue is. So let's prove that real fast by doing, what did we call that? App namespace? Let's just test another one in here. If this doesn't print out app and it prints out null, then I think that's what it is. See, this prints out app. How does it know this and not the fake? That's weird. That's weird to me. Anybody have an answer on that one? I'm the code whisperer, yeah. T-shirts on sale next week. Yeah, why is fake nullables not liking us? Fake nullables. Why are you a little jerk? Let's check one more of them. It seems like the Boolean values are null. That's very strange. it seems like the Boolean values are considered to be null. That's very interesting. I'm not one to jump to say bug, but that's very interesting to me. Yeah, look how the generate PHP docs, look how both of the nullable, or sorry, look how both of the Boolean config values are not being remembered. So either I'm not setting those in the test, which nowhere in here, see, we got a new blueprint, which should merge everything in. The only thing I could think is maybe there's some kind of setup. Ah, check that out. Good old JMac. That's why you don't jump to say bug. Let's fix this. Okay, so the appropriate thing to do here is to make sure to add the new bit here. So let's pull out all of our crap here. So everything they had was very nice. I'm going to leave all that alone. That would have been a hard thing to debug in the editor mode of GitHub. So let's change this to that. Or whoops, keep the original and take this. And this is, what is this? This is false. And that is true. And we're going to run that. And then we're going to drop that off and run the whole thing. And boom, we are fixed. All right, git add -p. Yes, we need to properly set up the environment. So git commit -m properly default new config options for testing. And let's say this properly default config options for testing. I think that's under 50 characters. I'm going to believe it. Git push origin head. Yay. All right, we fixed their bug. Good work, everyone. Okay, cool. One more, and then we'll call it quitskis for the day because I know, what's his name? Matt Stauffer does a little bit on the morning, and I was actually going to join in because I think he's going to talk about making Blueprint a preset for, what is it, Lambo or something he has? What is that, Lambo? Of course, that's not going to come up first result. Laravel Lambo. Yeah, there we go. So Titan has this nice little application, little tool that they've made that helps you get an application, Laravel application, up and running quickly and kind of loads in common packages and all that kind of stuff. So I'm interested to see him talk about this, and I think maybe not this week, but next week, I'm going to join him to make a preset for being able to start jumping right in with Blueprint. So again, all these tools to make it even faster to kind of get up and running with a Laravel application. But what I want to do now is one more of these. I want to knock out one more of these. This is a good first issue, but you know what? Some people have been asking about it and talking about it, so I'm just going to go ahead and take it. So let me just tag this as in progress because, again, a lot of activity this week on things. So I want to take a stab at this. So let's copy this issue number, and I'll just say something like git checkout -b issue 77. And let's set this up. I heard some chatter. Let's see what's going on here. Getting out of here. See you, Frake. Thanks for joining, man. Appreciate it. Whip is also under 50 characters. What a jerk. All right. Yeah, we have about 10 minutes, 12 minutes. I'll see if I can get this done. But yeah, I'll definitely stop before Stauffer because I know people like to see that, and I definitely don't want to be competing with that. So let's start with the test. So I have in the parser, the blueprint parser test. Where is it? We got so many of these. Blueprint, here we go. And blueprint test. Okay, so in here, there's one for shorthands. There we go, beautiful. All right, cool. And we want to make sure that this pumps out the appropriate shorthands here. So with that said, let's copy this and make it another one. And we'll say it parses UUID shorthand. All right, and we'll just say something here like oh, I don't know. What other shorthands do we have? Longhands, of course it parses longhands. It parses resource shorthands. That's fine. Let's just make a UUID shorthand here. No big deal. I was seeing if I could piggyback, but I've learned that as I start to piggyback some of these blueprint definitions or fixtures, it starts to break other tests down the stream. So I end up just making new ones. There's starting to be lots of them. I kind of don't like that, but whatever. So we want to say that, let's do this. Let's say that, let's go look at the issue. So the issue is there's a lot of shorthands in Blueprint. They're technically not valid YAML, but the parser kind of interprets those and builds them out. It kind of expands them into a longer, YAML appropriate string. But it's just, again, it's just that developer convenience to make Blueprint super, super rapid at helping you generate code. So a lot of people have asked for UUID. Very common thing nowadays, instead of using just kind of the integer ID, especially if you have any kind of like very large application or it's somehow distributed or anything like that, multi-tenant, UUID is typically a better practice. So what I want to do is make a UUID shorthand very similar to the ID shorthand you can already use that would expand it out to ID colon UUID primary. It automatically just kind of sets all that up for you. So cool. So I don't think this will take too long to make, so let's just go ahead and crush it. So what we are expecting is that when we send in UUID, that we should get UUID primary key here. So what we're going to say is UUID and then primary. And I'm going to drop this controllers bit. And that's that. That is our test right there. That's all we need to kind of get started to make sure that we're parsing this shorthand. And if we have time, I'll write one more test to make sure that the migration is properly generated. So if I run, well, let's steal just this specific test as not run all of them. So we'll say vendor bin PHP unit, paste that specific one, and good. We have a failure because it doesn't know what that fixture is. So let's go into our fixtures, our definitions, and somewhere in here we had shorthands. Yes, I'm going to copy this shorthands and just make it UUID shorthands. Say OK. Let's drop that controllers context because we don't need it. And I'm going to drop this soft deletes, and we simply want UUID. So these are an example of some shorthands. If I came in and said, hey, this model is some kind of whatever model, name model, let's call it person just to differentiate it a little bit. And we're going to have a UUID and timestamps. These should end up being expanded. Now I changed the model name there, so let me just change it over here as well. So person. There we go, cool. So mapping values are not allowed in multi-line blocks at line 3 near UUID. So this is a YAML parser error, which makes sense. Again, this is not valid YAML. So we need to precursor or pre-expand that before it gets to the parser. So let me bring this up on the right and we'll kind of look at this. So basically what I do is I just have a very simple regex that goes through and it pulls these out based on kind of what it finds. So if it finds a line that's effectively, ID or timestamps or whatever, it expands those appropriately. Now, this one's a little bit different in the fact that, well, first of all, why are there two of these? Oh, I see, there's a true. Okay, cool. So I could piggyback these, but these are actually built out just a little bit different, which I don't like to make logic inside of these if I can help it. Like I could tack on UUID here and kind of make it all work, but then inside of here I'd have to say, if the match, was UUID, then do something different, and that just, then expand. So, that's fine. I could do that, but it starts to make this block a little bit chunky, and I'm just not a fan of that. I like how streamlined these are. So, with all that said, I'm just going to implement it as a new separate block, and we're basically just going to say exactly what's down here. if you have on this line only just indentation of a space, so just indentation at the start of the line, and it's UUID followed by potentially UUID colon true. It's just something I allow in case people want to write valid YAML from the beginning. So for example, this is not valid YAML. What I allow for the people that complained about that is if they want to spend the extra time typing this out so they have a valid YAML file from the start, they're allowed to do this, and it'll still expand the right way. Now again, it's all about developer convenience. I don't want to write even those extra few characters, so I don't do that. But again, for some reason, if you needed to have a valid YAML file, then this is allowed. So I want to make sure to allow the colon true, and then that's optional with the question mark, and that's the end of the line. So if we find a line that only says UUID, I want to expand it. And I don't need the matches anymore. Or, well, sorry, that's the indentation level, so we do want that. And then we want to convert this to what we said out here, which is basically this. So let's just copy that. So that will automatically be given an ID column of UUID and it gets tagged as the primary. Cool. So let's run this. And good, our parser is now passing. So how much time we have left? We got like 5 minutes. I don't know if I'll get all the way there, but let's just push all the way up until time. So let's see here. Next, I want to make sure the factory is being generated correctly because there are some nuances there with the primary and the ID column and all that kind of stuff. So let's make sure that our factory generates UUIDs accordingly. So I thought somewhere in here we had some UUIDs, but maybe not. It respects configuration, nested components. All right, well that's fine. Let's just make our own here. Let's say the definition is the UUID shorthand, and I would expect this to make, or wait, no, sorry, we're not factories. I was wondering why we didn't have that. We are migration generator test, and here is our actual generator. So let's go look at this. Somewhere in here we have a UUID, I thought. Nope, that's fine. So here we will say the definition is UUID shorthand, and our migration will be create, oh, this will be a good test, people table. That's nice. So we'll actually get a nice little test to make sure we're using the appropriate pluralization there. So that's actually a nice side benefit. And then the migration will be, I just call these the same name as the definition, so this will be the shorthand. Okay, let's go generate these because we know they're going to be a problem. So I'm going to go back over here to fixtures. Oops, fixtures. And this will be migrations. And we can just borrow kind of any one of these, really. Let's just borrow comments. That's probably good enough. UUID shorthand. Okay, so the way this should look is create people table. That should say people. And instead here, we should have a UUID on the column of ID and primary. And that's what we want to be generated. And then what was the other field we had? We didn't have any other fields. We just had the timestamp. So very, very simple out of the box bit here. So that should be what we expect, right? So let's run this and see what happens. Running low on time. Let's just see this fail, and I might just stop there. Okay, we have a failure. Let's make sure we get a failure for the right reasons, though. Definitions, UUID shorthand, database migration, blah, 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 blah. File doesn't exist. Definitions, UUID shorthand.bp. Did I call that the wrong name? I think I might have. Where is our definitions? There they are. UUID shorthands. It's just a shorthand. Let's change that in our other test as well. UUID short hands. Come on. Awesome. All right. And this passes. Wow. I am super skeptic. Anytime something passes the very first time, I'm pretty skeptic that that worked. So let's do this. let's copy that. Or let's comment that out, and just real fast, here's what we're going to end on. I'm going to go up here and get this populated stub. Let's close these other windows because that's getting hard to read. Boom. Boom, boom. There we go. Let's just dump this out and make sure that that's doing what we want. Dump out the populated stub. I mean, the test is running, so whatever. It says we did it right. Okay, so ignoring the line breaks, where is our stuff? Yeah, there we go. People. Look at that. It did actually work exactly the way we wanted, which, you know, I felt like it would have, but anytime I see that, you know, I just get a little worried. I kind of would have expected that primary to not work the way we wanted, but that's awesome. Okay, donezo. So I'll get off. Everybody, I hope to see you on Stauffer's live stream here in just 1 minute, literally. And thank you all for joining and bearing with me on the network issues. I'll make sure to hardwire in next time. So thanks again. See you all next week.